guys. For any of the replay viewers, I wanted to come on here really quick and talk about folio boxes. Angela, are you in here yet? Hi, how are you guys? Hi, Kat. Hi, Anna. Okay, so really quickly, hi, Nicole. We were talking about folio boxes in our Facebook group, and Angela had some questions on them. Hi, Angela, there you are. So I told her that I would come in here and do a quick scope. Did I say Skype? I meant scope. Sorry, it's late. So anyways, I said I would come in here and do a quick scope on the folio boxes and answer a few questions that Angela had, but if any of you guys have questions as well, let me know, okay? So we're just gonna kind of do a show and tell with these, all right? So as most of you guys know who are in my course, the folio box, or as Cypress Albums calls it, the presentation box, is a product that I sell a lot of. And they are from Cypress Albums. You can get them from a lot of different places. Oh, good, I'm glad that you like it. You can get them from a lot of different places. Well, not a lot. It's kind of a limited selection of places, actually. Priscilla Foster offers them. You can get some from Fineo, but I get mine from Cypress Albums, and I will show them to you, and we'll talk a little bit about what exactly they are. It's kind of hard to show in here because they are quite large, and I have to be kind of far back from the phone in order to show it, so I can't really see your comments very well, but I'll keep leaning in and checking them out as we go. These are 11 by 14 presentation boxes from Cypress Albums. I have their website open here because I want to refer to it as we're talking, because they have a couple of different options. Yeah, you're right. They have a couple of different options of, yeah, it's really nice. They have a couple of different options for their boxes, so I want to make sure that I'm calling them by the names that Cypress calls them. This is their presentation box, okay? They also sell something called a museum box. The museum box is 2 pieces, so it's a traditional box with a lid that lifts off, so it's different from this. This one opens with a magnetic closure, okay? And your matted prints sit inside the box. This one has about 20 prints in it. And you can see, oh good, Anna, I'm glad. You can see how the prints lift up with the little ribbon right here, or you can just individually take them out, okay? So that's the construction of the box. There are magnets inside the lip here, and that's what keeps it closed. The bow is just a faux bow to look pretty, okay? So Angela, you were asking earlier about what the accent ribbon looks like. I've never ordered it with the accent ribbon, so I don't have one to show you, but basically it's just a strip of this ribbon right across the edge here, and that's it. There's no bow, okay? I always tell my clients, don't untie this because it looks perfect when you first get the box, and then if you let your kids or whatever untie the ribbon, you'll never get it tied perfectly again. Case in point, everyone has untied this in my studio. They all come in and just automatically untie it, so this one doesn't look as nice anymore. But same thing, it just opens up and the prints sit inside, and there's the tab underneath the mats to lift them out. I'm going to take all of these out so I can show you what the inside of the box looks like. Okay, so without the mats, this is what it looks like. How deep is that? I'm going to tell you because I measured them, so hold on one second. This is the ribbon on the inside. It sits just like that, okay? And then your bow, again on the outside, is the same material, all right? Imprinting, I always do have them just do my studio name on the inside right here. I don't have them make a studio die for me. They're just imprinting it right on here, just, typeset right on. You can choose blind emboss, silver, or gold. And I kind of choose just depending on the fabric that I'm getting. So, blue is a cooler tone, so I do it in silver. If it's a gold box, like this one is probably in gold, because I usually will do gold on this. Oh, this one doesn't have it, because this was, now I remember how I got this one. This was one of their sample sale ones that they had on their website. So I got it at a screaming deal. So this one wasn't imprinted. How deep are they? Okay, so that's the big question. Because I don't buy my mats from Cypress, I can't go by their measurements. So if you are having Cypress make your mats and you're ordering a box with their mats, you'll order like a box to hold 10 or a box to hold 20 or whatever, and they'll automatically know how deep the box has to be because they know how deep their mats are. I get my mats from Golden State Art, and they're thicker mats. So I have to take that into account. And Angela, you had a question on how deep I make them. I'm gonna tell you, after all these years, I've never measured it. I've just always guesstimated. But I did actually measure today so that I could tell you. And a stack of 10 of my mats, which I believe you're ordering the same mats now, it comes to 1 1/4 inch, okay? So if you had 20 of your Golden State Art mats, you would want your box to be 2.5 inches if you wanted the prints to come to the very top of the box, right? Flush to the top. I like to have a little bit of a cushion in there, like 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. I don't want them to come all the way up to the top. So what I normally do, and I've just always guesstimated it, so if I need a box to hold 10, I'll usually, on the Cypress order form, I'll put in that I need a box to fit 12 of their mats, knowing that it'll give me a cushion. If I need to put 20 in here on their form, I'll say I want a box to hold 23, sometimes 24. So it just kind of depends, because sometimes, you know, sometimes I like to give an extra print or two, like we talked about in the course. So I like to have a little bit of leeway in there. But if we're going on exact measurements, 10 mats of the Golden State Art mats that are the conservation archival ones, not the cheaper acid-free ones, but just their conservation archival that's thicker, 10 of them is 1 1/4 inch, okay? 1.25 inches for 10 of them. All right. So the drawback to using the thicker mats as opposed to Cypress's mats is that Cypress has a maximum depth that they will make these boxes, and this is the maximum depth one here. And this maximum depth one will hold 30 of their mats. And when you tell them that you want it to hold 30, 20, 10, or whatever of their mats, they automatically size it so that there's a bit of a lip, because they also don't like them to sit right up at the top. But because, again, my mats are thicker, when I order their maximum depth box and I'm gonna put 30 of my prints in it, they're gonna come right up to the top. So I don't have any room to put any extras in there. It's right up to the top. Oh, and this one does have the gold imprinting, so you can see, if you can see that. Okay, all right. So I hope that answered your question, Angela, about the depth. And I know it can be confusing, and it's hard when, you know, you're ordering a product from one place and you know, the other component, the mats, from another place because of the sizing. Yes, good. But you get the hang of it. The trick is you don't want it to be too shallow that you can't fit everything in that your client ordered. So it's better to err on the side of deeper, because I just think it looks bigger, or it looks better, sorry, to have a thicker box anyway. So if the prints don't come all the way up to the top, then it's fine. Are those mats slip in? No. I seal mine all the way around, and I mount my print in there because I don't care for a slip-in mat, because inevitably what happens with a slip-in mat is if your client's gonna take that out of a folio box and put it in a frame, the print's gonna slip down because they're slipping. There's nothing holding the print in. And I've had too many times that has happened where a client will call me and say, hey, I just walked past one of my prints in the hallway and the print is sliding down in the mat. What do I do? So I prefer to tape them in and seal the mat all the way around. I'm sorry, I missed that last question. What was that about the mat boards bending or something? Type that again for me if you don't mind, because I missed that. Sorry. But again, on Cypress's website, they've got 2 different box options now. They've got the presentation box, which is what this is, and then they have their museum box, which is a 2-piece, you know, a bottom box and a box and a top lid that comes off completely, which I haven't seen in person. They look nice on their website. So, you know, again, it's just about offering products that you love. She said, do they bend when on an easel? I don't have a problem with any of them bending in my studio. I have a lot sitting on easels in my studio. They're fairly thick mats. They're thicker than the Cypress mats even. How much are they, and are they archival? The mats are conservation archival. She did a video on that process assembling. And I want to go back to, I'm going to mention that really quick, Angela, and I know I'm talking fast. I just had a cup of coffee. Angela, you talked about the video. I do have a video showing how I put together a mat. I'm going to make a new one for you guys because I made that a couple of years ago, and I've noticed that there are some questions that come up over and over again from people still about the mat. So I want to make a new little video that goes into more detail and answers some of those questions that I get over and over again. So if you would like to see a video on how to put these together, just go over to my website and sign up for the newsletter, and I'll send out a blast when I get a new video up. I promise I'll do it before the end of the weekend. So just go to theboutiqueportraitstudio.com and just sign up for the newsletter, and I'll send it out. Do the mats get dirty if displayed on an easel? Well, you know, anything could get dirty if it's, you know, open air. I don't have a problem with it. Again, in my studio, it hasn't been an issue. I always tell clients that if they need to clean these off, to just use a white artist eraser to get any smudges off of them if they need to. But remember, the idea with these is that your clients are going to take some of these out and put them into standard frames around the house. So they can display them on easels if they want, but most people do end up putting them in frames, excuse me, or they sit inside the box. So, you know, they're not necessarily all out in the air where they're going to get too dirty. Is the box archival? You know, I was wondering about that today because I swear years ago, Cypress used that as one of their selling points, that their boxes were archival with archival materials and all that stuff. But recently I read somewhere where they were talking about their boxes, and they were talking about how it's all made out of recycled chipboard. So I'm gonna have to send them an email and ask, well, is it still considered archival? Because I see now that you're selling it as it's a, you know, eco-friendly product. But the mats are archival. And that's another thing that I want to address. Oh, the price list does say it's archival. Okay, good. That's another thing that I want to address in a new matting video. I want to talk more about the mats and where they come from, because people always ask me where I get these, and I always say Golden State Art, and I always say get the Conservation Archival, but then I always get emails from people saying, these aren't what I thought they were going to be, you know, it's brown in the center or whatever, because people tend to Google Golden State Art and an Amazon link will come up, and they'll buy them from the Amazon link, and it seems that the mats that Golden State Art sells on Amazon are their cheaper end mat board, which is their acid free, and this is the next level up, their Conservation Archival. So they're twice as much, but still it's about $4, you know, $2 for the front, $2 for the back. So it's not expensive, but their acid free is about half the price. But there's a big difference in quality between their acid free mat board and their Conservation Archival mat board. And just like any mat manufacturer, there's always going to be lots of different options as far as mat board is concerned. So you have to do your research and ask for samples if you can, and really pick something that's within your budget, but also is, you know, getting you the product that you want. So I'm going to address that in that video because I need to go into detail about that, because I still feel like people are getting confused on that, and I can save you a lot of time and heartache if I explain it a little bit better so that you can order what you really want the first time. But general consensus, don't order them off of Amazon. Why did you choose the larger 11 by 14 size mat? Anna, do you mean as opposed to getting an 8x10 box and putting like matted 5x7s in it? Is that what you mean? I'm assuming that's what you mean as opposed to, yes. Okay. So years ago, I used to actually sell a much smaller box. I have one somewhere. Oh, I know where one's at. Hold on one second. Okay. Boy, I'm really glad I didn't put on my pajama bottoms already because I had to jump up really quick. Okay, so years ago, I actually used to sell this little guy. It's a 8x8, I believe, and it held like 8x8 mats with a 4x6 opening in the middle, and I used to get those mats from Cypress. And this was a product that I used to offer to clients for all their extras. Okay, so this was for, you know, after we did all the big wall portrait orders and, you know, all of that, and they still had images left in their cart that they loved, but they were trying, you know, struggling with what do we do with these or whatever. I would sell them on getting a little folio box to put 4x6s in. Now we're talking years ago. I don't really do 4x6s anymore, but this is a way to get them the 4x6s. So I sold a ton of these. Well, then one day I had a client over, and I always had these 11x14 boxes sitting around as my portfolio boxes. So it had all of my samples in it, and that's what I used to, you know, show everyone sample portraits and everything. Well, I had a client over, and we were talking about getting a folio box, and she pointed down to my portfolio boxes and says, well, what about that size? Can I get something like that? And it just never occurred to me that a client would want something so large. And I started thinking about it, and she caught me off guard, so I'm thinking about it for a minute, and she says, well, I think that that size is more appropriate for taking the prints out and framing them. I'm never going to be able to take out these little guys and put them in frames. And it was like a light bulb went off. I was like, oh my God, why haven't I not been offering these? So I sold her one, and that's what I just started offering. I did away with these completely. It just makes more sense because a lot of my clients are repeat clients that I see year after year after year. And inevitably, what ends up happening is eventually I start to hear, well, we don't have any more room. What are we going to do with this set this year? You know, they've already covered all the walls. And, you know, I know they're not feeding me a line because I know what's in their house. I made all of those portraits. So this is a great option for people who seriously don't have the room anymore and need a flexible display. So what I tell my clients, like this client who I've shot like, I can't even count how many times since her kids were newborns, they have portraits all over the house. So what we do now is we set up a gallery wall with 11x14 frames. And when we do a new box set, we pull out the mats from the year before, we put them back in the box like an album, and we put a new setup from the new box. So it's a permanent display. The display on the wall, like where the frames are, always looks the same, but the pictures rotate in and out every year, okay? So it's a great option for those clients that still want to display portraits, but they're seriously out of room. So a typical sale for me, like I've told you before, is, you know, a wall portrait or two and a box of typically 20, okay? So that's a standard sale, you know, most of the time that's exactly what people order. It's pretty standard. So that's why I like this size. If it was the next size down that had matted 5x7s in it, you can't really frame a 5x7 on the wall. A 5x7 is, you know, appropriate to put on a desk. It's not really appropriate to put on a wall. It's just way too small. So the idea with the box is that they can put them, you know, a matted 8x10 alone on the wall looks like a postage stamp, but with an arrangement of them, then I struggle with the pricing on these sets. Hold on, I'll go back to that. But with an arrangement of these, it makes sense on the wall. You can create a really beautiful display with a set of 8x10s. Struggle with the price on what the product price that Cypress sells them for, and all the other places sell them for, or you mean what you need to charge for them to make it, for selling? Yeah, but I mean, anything that, we shouldn't even get into talking about the pricing on it now, because that's going to go into a totally different arena. Can you do 8x10 with a thinner mat? Well, you could do whatever you want. If that's something that you want to do, yeah, you could. I like this size mat. I also, these are custom sized, so they're 10x7 instead of 8x10. And the reason I like it is because then the mat is even all the way around. With a 7x10, you have an uneven border. With an 8x10, you have an uneven border, but with a 7x10, it's even all the way around, if that makes sense. What else was I going to tell you? Oh, and then the swatches. Where do you do the prints? All my prints are from Miller's. Swatches. When you sign up with Cypress, you can order a swatch kit, and they'll send you all the swatches of their fabrics and of their ribbons, okay? I will tell you that their linens are new. It's a newer product, and there does seem to be some inconsistency with the color in the linen, so you just want to be aware of that. A color that I order all the time is this English linen, and it always comes out a little bit different, sometimes a little darker. Are the pictures behind you square? Yeah, those are just my kids. This is my office, so clients don't come in here. This is inside my house. So those are, I don't know, 11-inch prints or something. Yeah, those are my kids. Anyways, the exclusive English I order a lot, and it always comes out a little bit different. Sometimes it's lighter, sometimes it's darker. When it's this color, it's beautiful. But I have a couple of friends who have been ordering lately and have been getting a much darker English linen and weren't happy with it. So just to warn you that the linen does tend to vary a little bit. But there's lots of really nice options in here. So I like that they have a lot of options. Oh, I'll show you also, when you get the box from them, it comes in, oh, thank you. Cypress delivers it to you in a nice canvas bag. So it makes a nice little presentation. Oh, see, there's another one of the English linens going out to a client. So it's a nice presentation because it's all, nicely packaged. Okay, and when I do albums, which I don't do that often, but when I do Cypress albums. Which ones are the ones that I like? The Iris book. And there's one that I don't see it listed on here anymore. It was a matted book that I did last year that was gorgeous, and they did away with it and came up with a replacement for it, and I'm not sure what the replacement is. It might be what they're calling the reinvented juniper book. I'm not sure. But the Iris book is a beautiful flush mount album. Any other questions? Anything else you want me to show you with these guys? Nope, we got it all? Okay, I hope I answered some questions for you, and I'm sorry that it's so late. You're very welcome. This was the earliest I can get it over here and do this, so great. Oh, I will show you. So this is a really old box. This is probably 8 or 10 years old. This is how they used to do it. They used to have a little Velcro piece right here, if you can see that. But now it's magnetic. But I wanted to show this because photographers always ask me, well, aren't you worried about them getting dirty in a client's house? Nobody's box is ever going to get more dirty than the ones in my studio because kids are always in my studio, and these sit on the bottom shelf of my coffee table, and they touch them like, I won't give the analogy I was going to say, but they touch them all the time, and that's why the ribbons are always, not tied perfectly. So this box has been here for like 8 or 10 years, and it still looks really nice. And this is one of their lighter fabrics. I think it's called the Platinum. So I don't worry too much about them getting dirty in clients' homes. Just like anything they own, if it's something that they're worried about then they need to put it out of kids' reach until their kids are a little older. But a lot of my clients who have little kids will order these every year. So, and nobody's ever come back and told me like, oh, that was a mistake. That got, you know, destroyed. Oh, and really quick, that's another reason I prefer boxes over albums, because albums do kind of freak me out. They're so expensive, and I worry about if it were to get dropped and the corners all ding in, or somebody spills a cup of coffee on it or whatever, the whole thing's ruined, and you're talking, you know, a $4,000 album, it's ruined. Whereas with a folio box, if one mat gets dropped or somebody grabs it with sticky hands or whatever, it's one mat. You know, it's simple to replace. It's a $4 mat. So it's really easy to take care of that and get it replaced. As opposed to an album that, you know, if it's ruined, it's ruined. Okay. So I guess that's it, unless you have any other questions. Oh, how do you package your 11 by 14 boxes for clients? Do you just hand it over in the bag? Well, it comes in the canvas bag, and then I have handled shopping bags that I package everything up in. So everything's like in a nice Euro bag with tissue paper and everything. Do you give digital files? Every print that my clients are purchasing will come with the matching digital for them to make 8 by 10s and smaller of. But I don't give, it's got to be something they already purchased. So if they, you know, if they got their wall portrait, they're going to get a matching file. If they get a folio box, they're going to get a matching file of each of the prints in here. And so that's how I handle that. Okay. We can talk more about digital files in another Periscope if you want, if that's something that you're interested in. I want to kind of keep these like on topic to certain things so that it's just easier. I don't want to keep you guys here longer than you need to be. All right. Okay, so any other questions, you can always email me, Gretchen at the Boutique Portrait Studio. And if you want to hop over to that website and just subscribe to the newsletter, when I make that matting video, I'll blast it out to everyone on the email list, okay? Give me through the end of the weekend to get that done, because I've kind of got a lot going on. Thanks, I'm glad you like it. I hope it's been really helpful for you, and I hope that the Facebook group has been really helpful to you too. If you're not on the Facebook group, if you're in our course and you haven't joined the Facebook group yet, do it, because it's a pretty active group. I'm in there every day answering questions. Nothing's off topic, so you can ask me anything in there. So if you're not in that group and you're in our course, go join it. I sent out a Udemy announcement to everybody, but it's just the Boutique Portrait Studio Workshop Members, I think is what it's called. So if you're not in there, definitely join, okay? All right, so everyone have a great night, and any questions, let me know. All right, bye-bye.